There's a moment in everyone's life when they realize they have to take a step into the unknown. You can feel it building for a while, the sense that something needs to change, that you're standing at a crossroads, looking down two very different paths. And in that moment, you realize that to grow, to move forward, to live fully, you need to step out of your comfort zone and into something you can't predict. For me, that moment came when I was 23. It was the day I walked into the unknown with nothing but a suitcase, a one-way ticket, and a heart full of both excitement and fear. I had just finished my degree, my life planned out in neat little boxes, but there was this voice inside me that kept asking, what if there's something else for you? Something more? I had always been the type of person who liked to know what was coming. I liked having my plans in place, having control over my future. But at 23, I started feeling a pull toward change. I had spent years living according to other people's expectations. My family, my friends, society. Everyone seemed to have an idea of what I was supposed to do. I had checked all the boxes I thought I was supposed to. I had gotten the degree, landed a steady job, and ticked off a list of accomplishments. And yet, something inside me wasn't satisfied. I remember feeling this deep sense of unrest, as if I was waiting for something more, but not knowing what it was. It wasn't that I hated my life or the direction I was going in. It was just that it didn't feel like me. It didn't feel like the life I was supposed to be living. So one day, I decided to listen to that voice. The voice that said, maybe you're meant for something different. It wasn't an easy decision. It wasn't like I woke up one morning and suddenly had everything figured out. It was more like a slow realization that I couldn't ignore anymore. The longer I stayed in my comfort zone, the more restless I felt. The longer I kept trying to follow a prescribed path, the more disconnected I became from myself. I took a leap of faith that day, the day I walked into the unknown. It wasn't some dramatic, life-changing moment. It wasn't some grand announcement or some big gesture. It was just me, packing a bag, getting on a plane, and heading to a place I had never been before. I had no job lined up. I didn't know anyone there. I didn't even know exactly how I was going to make it work. But I knew that the biggest risk I could take at that moment was staying in the life I had created for myself, a life that didn't quite fit anymore. I remember the night before I left, sitting in my room, surrounded by 1,000 little things I'd accumulated over the years. There were notes from friends, books I hadn't read in months, old photos, and random souvenirs. I felt a mix of fear and excitement. I was leaving everything behind. The people I loved, the life I knew, the city I had grown up in, all of it. And yet, I felt like I was about to walk into something better, something that was waiting for me on the other side. It was like the moment I stepped off that plane and into a new place. I was leaving behind all the versions of myself I had outgrown. But fear was still there. It was that nagging voice in the back of my mind that kept asking, what if you fail? What if this is a huge mistake? What if this doesn't work out? But the truth is, I've learned that you never really know if something is going to work out. There's never a clear path, and if you wait for the perfect moment, the stars to align, the fear to go away, you'll be waiting forever. The only thing you can do is take a step forward, even when you're unsure, even when you don't have all the answers. I didn't have all the answers that day. but I had courage, and that was enough to keep me moving. The first few weeks after I arrived were a blur of uncertainty. I spent a lot of time figuring things out. I took on odd jobs, lived in a small, rundown apartment, and adjusted to an entirely new culture. I remember feeling overwhelmed by how much I didn't know, how many things were unfamiliar to me. But at the same time, there was something exciting about it, about living in a place where no one knew who I was, where I wasn't defined by what anyone expected of me. For the first time in a long time, I had the space to define who I wanted to be. I made mistakes, of course. I took on jobs that didn't work out. I struggled with loneliness at times, especially when I missed home or didn't know how to navigate the language and customs. But every mistake was a lesson. Every failure taught me something about myself. And the more I embraced the uncertainty, the more confident I became in my ability to adapt, to grow, to handle whatever life threw at me. Walking into the unknown wasn't about finding something concrete or achieving something measurable. It wasn't about ticking off another goal on my list. It was about the journey, the process. Everything around me was unfamiliar. I realized that sometimes the unknown isn't something to be afraid of. It's something to be embraced. It's in the unknown that we truly discover what we're capable of. It's where we find parts of ourselves we never knew existed. It's where we learn to trust ourselves, to believe in our ability to navigate the challenges, and to realize that we don't need a roadmap to create the life we want. There are still moments of fear. There are still times when I question if I'm making the right choices. But I've learned that it's okay not to have all the answers. It's okay to feel lost sometimes. The truth is, we never really know what the future holds. But that's what makes it beautiful. Life is messy, unpredictable, and full of surprises. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Looking back, I'm proud of the day I walked into the unknown. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made. It wasn't easy, and it's still not easy. But it's been the most transformative experience of my life. I've learned that taking risks doesn't mean you have all the answers, and it doesn't mean you're fearless. It means you're brave enough to move forward even when you don't know what's ahead. Sometimes the best things in life happen when we step out of our comfort zones, when we embrace uncertainty, and when we trust that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way.